People speak of freedom as if it were the absence of boundaries, as if true liberty means doing whatever you please, whenever you wish. But I learned long ago that this idea is not only false, it is dangerous. True freedom does not come from chaos or indulgence. It comes from order, from restraint, from discipline. I have watched many men chase pleasure, thinking it would make them free. But pleasure without purpose becomes a prison. It leaves you weaker, not stronger, empty, not fulfilled. Let me tell you about Henry. He was a brilliant young man, full of ideas and ambition, but easily distracted. He wanted success, wealth, and recognition, but lacked the habits to sustain even the smallest effort. He would start a project, then abandon it days later. He would make plans, then ignore them when they became inconvenient. His life became a cycle of excitement and disappointment until one day he looked in the mirror and could no longer lie to himself. "I have the talent," he said, "but I lack the discipline." It was a painful realization, but it was also his turning point. From that day forward, he chose a different path, not the path of ease, but the path of effort. He began waking early, writing down his goals, cutting distractions, doing what needed to be done, even when he didn't feel like it. The world didn't change overnight, but he did. Slowly, the same people who once ignored him began to notice his results. Not because he was louder, but because he became reliable, consistent, disciplined. And that is the key. Discipline is not punishment. It is not rigidity or control by others. It is choosing every day to govern yourself, to direct your life with intention rather than impulse. It is saying no to comfort in order to say yes to greatness. The moment Henry chose discipline, he chose freedom. Because when you master yourself, you no longer have to be ruled by your moods, your fears, or the opinions of others. You become the author of your actions. And that is the highest form of freedom a man can ever possess. Discipline is not glamorous. It does not shine under the spotlight. It happens in silence when no one is watching, early in the morning, late at night, when the body is tired and the mind is tempted to quit. But this is where character is built, where the weak remain stuck and the strong move forward. I recall the story of Margaret, a young woman who had once been a servant in a wealthy household. Her days were long, her pay small, and her dreams seemed distant. As she held a vision of becoming a teacher, of standing before a classroom and changing lives through knowledge, everyone around her said it was impossible. They told her to be realistic, to stay in her place. But Margaret had something more powerful than motivation. She had discipline. After 10 hours of labor, she would light a candle in the small attic where she slept and study for another 2. Every evening, without fail, she taught herself grammar, mathematics, and science with old borrowed books. She saved every coin she could, not to indulge, but to invest in her future. For 5 years she lived like this, quietly, steadily, without applause. And in time, she did become a teacher, not because she was given an opportunity, but because she made one. She didn't wait for luck. She built her freedom with effort, sacrifice, and relentless self-command. That is what most people forget. Discipline is not a restriction of your life. It is the structure that sets you free. It does not suppress who you are. It reveals who you are meant to become. Without it, potential rots. With it, potential blooms. You see, the undisciplined man wakes up each day wondering what will happen to him. The disciplined man wakes up each day and decides what he will make happen. One lives as a leaf tossed by the wind. The other becomes the wind. It is not talent that separates the extraordinary from the average. It is not intelligence, nor even desire. It is discipline, the quiet courage to act rightly when it's hard, to stay the course when others stray, to keep promises made in solitude. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. And once you cross it, you will never want to go back. The greatest misconception of our age is that freedom is the absence of rules. But when there are no rules, no direction, no standards, what you have is not freedom, but drift. A life pulled by every temptation, every emotion, every external demand. And a man who drifts is never truly free. He is owned by circumstance. Discipline, then, is not a cage. It is the key. It was the key for Henry, who stopped chasing motivation and started building consistency. It was the key for Margaret, who traded comfort for purpose and reshaped her entire destiny. And it has been the key for every person who has ever done something worthwhile with their life. Freedom is not granted. It is earned. Earned by the man who wakes when it's easier to sleep, who works while others complain, who delays gratification not because he enjoys pain, but because he understands what lies beyond it. The fruits of discipline are not immediate, but they are lasting. Peace of mind, strength of character, the quiet confidence of knowing that you control yourself. Therefore, nothing can control you. We are not born disciplined. We choose it. And we must choose it every single day. I tell you this not as a philosopher sitting comfortably behind a desk, but as a man who has seen the struggle, the setbacks, and the victories that discipline brings. I have watched ordinary men become extraordinary. Not by luck, not by talent, but by effort, by habits, by will. If your life is not what you want it to be, do not wait for better feelings. Build better discipline. Shape your day with purpose. Begin small, but begin. The world will not hand you freedom. You must claim it, and discipline is the price. Do not fear it. Embrace it. For in the end, discipline is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. And through it, you will find not just success, but freedom, real, lasting, and yours to keep.